It's Everton's last season at Goodison, as everyone knows. We've got 5 games left, and I am going to go a little bit pre-match routine with Laura, who has been chronicling Everton's sort of pre-match, in-match, post-match for the last few seasons. Laura, what's been happening?
What has been happening? Everything's been happening.
Year.
Yeah, it's been a big year. It's been an emotional year. It's a roller coaster. Obviously, we started the season this year with Dyche in charge, and things were looking a bit ropey there for a second. But we've kind of turned the tide, haven't we? And it's been. I think it comes through a lot in what I see pre-match is the atmosphere is just so different.
I was going to say, and like having sort of plotted from Dyche through to now.
It's mad. I look
and more
back,
people around are up for it.
Yeah. Like I think that goes with the sort of the countdown to the last game. More and more people are starting to get to the game earlier. More and more people are kind of getting to Goodison on even non-match days just to like soak it up before we go. But I think there's been a definite. I think also with the Merseyside derby the other week, there was thousands. I felt like thousands and thousands of people here so early, just getting the atmosphere going, just trying to be as positive as possible. And I think we under Dyche it was a little bit difficult, but the couple of results go our way, and everything's looking a bit more nicer now. That's not good English, that is it?
Doesn't matter. You've not written it down. You're not getting marked.
No, I might do.
Yeah. So personally for you, then, you've been doing. How long have you been doing this?
Oh God, forever. Well, it kind of started off really just taking photos on my phone.
Yeah.
I've always been into my photography, and I've always had a camera, and did bits at university and stuff like that. But when I was at the match, it was mostly just on my phone, and I'd tweet, like, I think one of the examples is the Carlo Ancelotti picture that I tweeted. I think a lot of people remember that one. And that went viral, and it was like one of them where it's popping up on like Facebook on random fan pages.
Were you just in the family enclosure then? Yeah. Oh, right,
just literally sat, I think it was my mum's seat. Yeah. Because I'm in the main stand now, but sometimes we do a little bit of a seat swapping situation. And it just went a bit mad on social media, and I was like, all right, fair enough. And then I started taking little point and shoot film cameras. So a lot of like my work in the first book that I've done is a lot of film photography, just because it was like a nice sort of easy way to take cameras into the game. And something about Goodison on film, and that grain just feels perfectly matched. It's like so much at Goodison.
It's like when you got photos as a kid.
Yeah,
and the colours are slightly different.
Yeah.
It looks good, and it's a very, despite what people say or might think, it's a very photogenic stadium.
It is.
So you've got one book.
Yep.
And you've got another one coming out. Is it the Farewell to Goodison, the new one?
So the first one is Forever Everton, a Goodison Farewell, which the photos, they start back in 2017, right through to 2024.
All the good times then, yeah?
Oh yeah, well, shout out to Liam and co for their good times. That covers kind of like a range of stuff. And again, that is a lot of on film, even some phone stuff, and then like a mix of digital photography as well in there. The second book, that just kind of happened because people have requested it, which is absolutely...
That's amazing.
It's incredible, really, when you think the first book I started was like basically because I wanted one myself, and I was like, do you know what, I'm going to give this photography stuff an actual good go here. And then I've now nearly sold nearly 500 copies worldwide.
That's incredible.
Like in Japan, why? Like I'm literally like, that is mental. Like the fact that people message me from all over the globe being like, I can't get to Goodison anymore, but your work and your book and everything else has made me feel like I'm still at match days. Yeah. And that to me is everything.
You don't need any more vindication, do you?
No,
if one person buys your book, it's been worth it.
Well, that was it. When I put it up for public sale, I was thinking no one's going to buy this. Like if they don't, it's fine. Like I've given it a go. But I'm here now where it's been stocked in like the Museum of Liverpool and Lingham's.
Yeah, well, that's the big one.
That is the big one because
and you've got the exhibition as well.
Yeah, which is going to be incredible.
Yeah.
We've got so much talent in our fan base. You know, that's across the board really, not just photography, but to actually be sort of showcasing my Everton work alongside other fan photographers is an amazing feeling, and it's in somewhere like as iconic as the Museum of Liverpool. And we went down a few weeks ago and we come across this, was it Dinky Toys that my granddad used to work for? And Connor was like saying to me, like, just think like your work is in the museum at the same time as potentially that's your granddad's.
Yeah.
And my granddad's no longer with us. And my mum blames him for all this, for all of Everton. And I get my sort of creativity from my granddad as well. So that was the moment that I did actually, get a little bit like not upset, but it's like,
it's emotional, isn't it?
Like a really nice, almost full circle kind of moment. It means like everything to me, really, getting over that sort of anxiety. And there's been so much support from other Evertonians just every match day now. Like I've been sat today in the Winslow behind us, and just people coming up to me and saying, like, I see your work online and what you're doing is absolutely brilliant. And people keep saying stuff to me like, you're keeping like the history alive in years to come, and this, that and the other. And I'm like, I've never even thought of it in that way, of like that's something for generations of people to look back on.
I think for me it's going to be more poignant in 10, 20 years time. Like you look at the Martin Parr stuff, like the Last Resort in New Brighton
stuff,
when you see that now, it's nostalgia for everyone.
100%.
So this is going to be incredible. Right, let's go and see
my match day.
Your match day routine, and see how you get all those photos. Do people mind you taking the photo?
This is a funny one, because to be honest, one of my drawbacks before I started doing this a little bit more was the worry of people kind of being like, get that camera out my face.
Like this one?
Yeah, like that one. Which is also a little bit weird to be on the camera today. But no, to be honest, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we are leaving Goodison. And one of the things I've found through social media as well is that people love spotting themselves in my photos. And again,
I can imagine that is nice to see.
Yeah, and I mean, I've found myself in some other people's photos and I'm like, that's me. But yeah, a lot of people have been really, really fine with it. I think it's a little bit easier that, it's centred around the match day and... Yeah.
Has anything changed? Were reactions, because I suppose, as you say, to last season, people are probably more used to it now because, like, as you say, there's like a bit of a collective of you doing it, so people are probably used to it. But at first, when you did it, or was it just because it was with your phone, and didn't really notice?
When I did it, like with my phone and stuff, I wasn't always focusing on the people and the fans as much. But when I started focusing, hello. Oh, you're so giggly. How are you doing? Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. No, I love it. Can I take your photo? You look like you're walking towards me, and I was like, "Is that Mary? You actually look like a film star. Can I take your picture?"
Okay. You get like not accosted, but do you find many people walk up to you and say hello? I mean, going on that evidence.
Yeah, yes, I do. Sometimes it does feel like a little bit like being accosted. In the sense, like people do it more on social media than anything. They'll be like, "Are you at this game at this time? And can I meet you there? And can you take these pictures?" And to be honest, that's not really the way I operate. I like to kind of, as you've seen then, like just walk around and
so
just get in and amongst like little bits and things. Like I like coming into the fan zone, and I say hello to Julia, who's one of my close friends, and just kind of like getting into the different places. And I like being able to capture people naturally more than anything. I like, rather than being posed and things like that, I like capturing in the moment, because I think that's when people are most, I don't want to say most beautiful, that sounds a bit weird, but like at their best, when you're catching people kind of mid-chat with their mates or whatever it might be.
What intrigues me is how do you get the pictures of like the architecture and stuff, because I've been coming here since '85 and I haven't seen half the things that you've seen in the last year probably. How do you do that? I just don't like.
Do you know, it's such a good question. I think it's just, I always say to like Connor and stuff, I like being like a silent observer almost, and it's just through being observant and just looking at stuff, just looking around. And I think one of the things I've found through taking my camera, especially to the match and to everything else that I do in life, whether it's walking the dog or meeting friends and things like that in town, is just that you kind of start to notice a little bit more. And that kind of happens when I'm editing and looking back through photos and things like that. I'll go, oh, look at that in the background, like didn't spot that at the time. So then I'll kind of go, okay, well, next game I kind of want to look a little bit more at that and that area. Like one of the things I've kind of noticed throughout the past year or two is that people have their own, like if you look by the turnstiles and stuff, especially on on Goodison Road at the main stand. And I think most of the ground, other than the park end, just because it's the newer part of the ground, you've got almost like, I call them little cubby holes, which is where I think it's the exits for the turnstiles.
Yeah.
And people kind of have their own one, where I think a photograph before, Croston Blues, they kind of have that as their little their meeting spots. So all them and their mates and their family all come and meet there, and they'll have a drink and a chippy or whatever it might be, their pre-match sort of ritual is. And then a mate of mine's dad, he's a few down from that, and they stand there and have a gab with their mates and their family, and it's just kind of noticing those little routines and things like that. And yeah, just looking at the small things. Goodison's got, loads of history and loads of little moments that not everyone kind of notices, and I think it is just through looking through my lens and stuff like that all the time that it's kind of picked that up.
The noticeable thing about the ground is that each side is like very different in atmosphere.
Yeah.
So you come down here and it's dead quiet, Bullens
Yeah.
Road. It's dead strange. Every bit of the ground's different.
I don't really understand why that is. Well, I suppose.
Well, I don't know. You'd probably think this could be a little bit more lively because the away fans are here, but it's just very quiet and subdued, isn't it? It's even like you feel the atmosphere now, and
it goes a bit
quite
flat.
calm. Yeah.
I don't know if that's because obviously on Goodison Road you've got the Winslow and things like that, and obviously it's kind of like if you're walking up from Kirkdale if you've got the train over, you're kind of walking in that general direction, aren't you? And there's obviously the fan zone as well.
What's this then?
Little hole that you can look through.
Okay.
If you look, there's a steward put. If you get in there, you can see the come on over. Can you see it?
Oh.
That was perfect.
Got a bit of specs there.
But there's a little Come On You Blues
okay.
sign across the top there. There's so many different instances of that around, and I think especially on the Bullens side, if you just look in the wooden doors and stuff, there's often little cracks and little there's obviously reasons for those holes. It'll probably be, if you see there's the kind of it's where they keep the door open at full time, I think. But yeah, it provides for some interesting viewing, and sometimes the steward's eyes just nearly got poked out. But yeah, it's I think it's great. Like some of the photos I've loved taking has been like people on programme stalls and things like that, and people queuing up for chippies and stuff like that. Like it's just everyone's got their own little rituals, haven't they? Yeah,
and this is the thing at the new ground. It's going to be. I'm going to go on the arse here, aren't I? The new ground is going to be very, very different.
Hang on. Can we just have a close up on this? Shout out to Liam.
Yeah,
and
scan that barcode, get on the good times. Yeah, so that's the thing with the new ground, that everyone's match day routine is going to be so different.
Yeah.
And there's not really that much around the ground at the minute, so it's going to be, what do you reckon your photo opportunities are there? Obviously, again, it's another photogenic stadium, but in a very, very different way.
It's so different, isn't it? And I think this is one of the things from the test event the other week was like, it's still capturing the people and what everyone's kind of up to, and like, because it's Dockland and stuff like that. It's different in such a very, very different way to Goodison, and that again goes back to community. As soon as you walk around Goodison Park now, houses everywhere. You're on people's doorsteps. There's local chippies, local bars, local cafes. Just everything about it is just so ingrained into the community. But you go down to the Everton Stadium and you're kind of like, you've got Bramley Moor pub, which is great, but it's a great little pub. But again, like it's not.
It's going to be completely different because a community of sorts will build up, but it won't be like this. It won't be like a school, a residential community. It will be a business community, all geared to the match. So it's going to be very different.
Yeah, and I think the way they've designed the stadium as well is that the idea is that people get into the grounds, not into the ground itself, but like into the surrounding area of the ground to be like that captive audience in a way. But like Goodison's so great because you can just mingle in that community.
Cheers, Laura. That has been a cracking insight into your pre-match routine, and the amount of people you bump into is quite incredible.
It's chaos, really, isn't it?
I mean,
this is why when people say to me like, "What is your like routine and what do you do?" and I'm like, just depends what happens really and who I see, and also it depends. A lot of it depends on weather, and when it's days like today, people are more kind of receptive to stuff as well.
And it was all a good hour, good 2 hours before kick-off. A lot of people around the ground. Anyway, just before we go, we've got your book there. which is your first one. When's your
Yep.
when's your second one out?
Well, as soon as the season finishes, really.
Brilliant.
As soon as we kind of are turfed out of Goodison Park on hopefully the 18th of May, I'm going to try and get it finalised for the end of May.
Okay.
I've kind of advertised it as May, but I don't know whether it will be like early June. It'll just depend, but obviously I'll be letting people know, and it'll be kind of everywhere. And yeah,
Where can
hopefully
people buy your book and your pictures?
online at lauragatesphotography.co.uk.
Nice. And the museum
And the museum.
and Lingham's.
And Lingham's.
Nice one.
And the other museum, the Victoria Museum and Gallery
Yes.
at the University of Liverpool, which is also incredible. But yeah,
Cheers, Laura. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
loved it.